constructed log cabin from 1866. Tools used by Native American children at an 1840s Christian mission. And a windmill that stood at a dairy farm for 65 years. These are just a few of the items on display at the Kansas Museum of History in Topeka. While these artifacts are indelibly linked to the cultural past of the Jayhawk State. According to historian Bonnie Lynn Chereau, there is one piece on display that literally changed the course of history forever.
It is a 4-foot wide iron implement that has 3 adjustable wheels. Beneath is a set of discs that are about 19 inches in diameter.
This model promised to revolutionize life on the plains in the early 20th century. But how did it inadvertently contribute to a tragedy that defined an entire era? Kansas, the early 1930s. For over half a century, farmers have settled the western plains of the United States and transformed the vast open prairie into golden fields of wheat.
This was the first time it had been plowed. Everybody knew that meant that it was going to be more fertile than lands in other places.
The first part of the 20th century had delivered unprecedented bumper crops to Kansas farmers, and the region earns the moniker, the breadbasket of America. That is, until an event took place that was unlike anything anyone had ever experienced. April 14th, 1935. It's a peaceful Sunday in Kansas. But by mid-afternoon, the quiet tranquility is suddenly shattered.
It turned absolutely black.
When people look toward the horizon, they see a cloud of unimaginable proportions, towering over 600 feet into the sky.
It must have felt like Armageddon and the apocalypse all rolled into one.
This fast approaching monster is a dust storm, a violent maelstrom of strong winds that sweep up fine particles of dirt and dust and swirl them through the atmosphere at a ferocious pace. Soon, 60-mile-an-hour winds whip thick black dust across the plains and send panicked citizens in search of cover. The storm buries everything in its destructive path. A stunned community is left wondering, what could possibly have caused this sudden disaster? It's 1935 in Kansas. A massive storm rips through the Jayhawk State, blotting out the sun and filling the air with a thick, suffocating dust. But could this terrifying natural disaster actually be man-made? This monstrous storm, 500 miles wide and 800 miles long, swept up to 300 million tons of soil across a vast swath of the country.
That one storm moved as much dirt as they had to remove to create the Panama Canal.
By Monday, April 15th, 1935, just 24 hours after the storm began, scores are dead and millions of dollars in property have been destroyed. Newspapers dubbed the event Black Sunday, and America comes to know this devastated region by a bleak new name: the Dust Bowl. Some survivors think that Kansas was simply the victim of a freak, once-in-a-century storm. But the men who turned the Great Plains into America's breadbasket have a different theory: that the farmers themselves caused the Dust Bowl. The origins of this bizarre disaster can be traced back to 1917. The vagaries of life on the plains, fluctuating grain prices, and unpredictable weather mean that farmers are under massive pressure to reap as high a yield as possible from their land. And one man invents something that he believes will help. His name is Charles Angell.
Charles Angell was one of these people that they got an idea into their head. He bought the components and he put it together and tested it on his own.
Tinkering on his Meade County farm, he creates a revolutionary new plow. Standard plow blades push the earth in many different directions, limiting the speed with which farmers can operate their tractors. But Angel's plow has a set of discs, all pointed in the same direction. This arrangement allows his plow to pulverize everything in its path quickly and efficiently. Charles Angel's invention is an immediate success.
A lot of farmers thought it was exactly what they needed at the time.
The Angel plow has another advantage, allowing farmers to prepare the land for the precious precipitation that feeds their crops.
Farmers believed that they had to make their soil ready to accept any moisture after a rainfall.
But many farmers questioned the wisdom of pulverizing acre upon acre of prairie land.
People started to recognize the unnaturalness of plowing up every bit of biological and plant material and leaving absolutely nothing to hold the soil down, which ended up having disastrous consequences.
While Charles Angel's plow had once brought great prosperity to the region, it had also inadvertently contributed to a wave of destruction when high winds swept across the plains on that fateful day.
Ironically, he created a plow that allowed thousands of acres to be pulverized and to be picked up by the wind and create dust storms.
In the years following Black Sunday, waves of dust storms continued to ravage the Great Plains. By 1940, 50 million acres of farmland are ruined, and a staggering 2.5 million people are left homeless or forced to migrate. And today, at the Kansas Museum of History in Topeka, Charles Angel's plow serves as a quiet reminder of the unintended consequences of man's attempts to control Mother Nature.